Welcome back to the Explainer, everyone. So, have you ever caught yourself literally just going through the motions? Waking up, doing the grind, going to sleep, and doing the whole shebang all over again, but without really knowing why? Well, today we're diving into a concept that's an absolute game changer. It completely shifts how we look at our daily routines, our careers, basically our biggest goals. We're going to unpack the actual mechanics of motivation together and dig into the core reasons behind what we do.
So, what is the real purpose behind what you do? Think about it. When your alarm goes off in the pitch black of morning and, we all know that dreadful feeling, what's that invisible force actually pulling you out of bed? It's a heavy question, right? But looking at the source material, there's this fascinating pattern that pops up everywhere. The absolute most successful people, the organizations that stand the test of time, the historical figures that truly inspire us, they all share this one defining trait. They don't just know what they're doing. No, they always start with why.
Let's really unpack this idea, the power of why. In our day-to-day lives, we spend an enormous chunk of time obsessing over the what and the how, right? Like, what tasks do I absolutely have to finish today? Or how am I going to get them all done? And hey, I get it. We all love the satisfaction of crossing things off a massive to-do list. It feels great, but here's the kicker. Knowing your what and your how, that's mostly just logistics. Those pieces are totally empty without a clear why. Your why is your core purpose. It's your ultimate belief. It is literally the fuel that sparks true inspiration. Without it, you're basically just managing a checklist.
It is so incredibly easy to get caught up in those surface-level actions. The daily gears turning as we constantly figure out the what and the how. But true motivation, that comes from hitting the target, the why. You can think of it like a giant target or a circle, famously known as the golden circle. You've got why sitting dead center, right in the bullseye. Then the how is the middle ring, and the what is on that outside edge. True power, real influence, and lasting motivation, they absolutely do not happen by working from the outside in. Actually, scratch that. They only happen when you build from the inside out.
Moving on to inspiration and leadership. When we take this exact framework and map it onto the real world, especially when looking at legendary leaders or those massive culture-shifting social movements, it's like a giant puzzle clicking perfectly into place. The greatest leaders out there operate entirely from that center circle. They get it. They understand that to actually move people to action, you can't just hand them a list of chores or, brag about the shiny new features of a product. No way. You have to speak directly to their core. People connect with purpose, not just things. This is such a simple idea, but man, is it profound. Great leaders aren't out there just selling you a product or some service. Instead, they're communicating a core purpose that audiences connect with on a deep emotional level. When a leader communicates their why, it's like a magnet. They attract people who share those exact same beliefs. You aren't really buying what they do, you are totally buying into why they do it. And honestly, that is the ultimate secret to building intense loyalty and starting movements that actually last.
Okay, so finding your purpose. How do we actually apply all of this to ourselves? Because sure, it's pretty easy to spot the why in some massive tech company or a famous historical figure, but uncovering your own internal why, well, that takes a little bit of digging. And to be clear, this isn't about inventing some shiny buzzword-filled purpose out of thin air just to sound impressive. Not at all. It's about uncovering what's already inside of you, the exact thing driving your absolute best moments in your deepest passions. To actually unearth that true motivation, try asking yourself these 3 reflective questions. First up, why do you do what you do? And I mean, really dig past the paycheck, past the boring daily routine, and look for that fundamental reason. Next, ask yourself, how does my work benefit society? Like, how does what you do ripple out and impact the people around you? And finally, what is your undeniable, rock-solid core belief about the world? Answering these questions is honestly like calibrating an internal compass. It points you directly toward your true purpose.
Let's ground this in a super relatable example. Picture 2 teachers. The first one operates with this mindset. I teach subjects. Okay, that's their what. It's factual, it's perfectly accurate, but let's be real, it's completely uninspiring. Now picture a second teacher. They operate with the core belief that they prepare students for life. Boom, that is their why. Their day-to-day tasks might be exactly the same, grading math tests, standing at a whiteboard, but the energy, the resilience, and the lifelong impact of that second teacher, it's going to be light years ahead. That right there is the stark, real-world difference between just clocking in to do a job and actually fulfilling a higher purpose.
Now we hit the journey to action, and honestly, this is the most beautiful part of this entire framework. Once your why is crystal clear, the actual execution, that daily grind of the how and the what, it just becomes significantly easier. You don't have to constantly force yourself to find discipline every single morning because your overarching purpose starts acting like a giant magnet. It literally pulls you forward through all the difficult, tedious parts of the process.
There is a very specific, absolutely crucial chronological order to success here. Step 1, always start with why. Define that purpose first. Step 2 is figuring out the how. This is your process, the unique ways you're going to bring that purpose to life. And then finally, step 3 is executing the what, the tangible action. Notice how the action naturally flows outward from the purpose? If you try to reverse these steps, jumping straight into the action without a solid reason, you're going to end up with results that feel completely hollow and ultimately unsustainable.
Let's look at the application in modern life, because this definitely isn't just some dusty business strategy. This framework strengthens literally everything we do. Think about it. When you approach your career with a clear why, you suddenly become invaluable because you're bringing vision to the table, not just labor. When you approach a business with a why, you build a beloved brand instead of just selling a commodity. And when you bring your why into your personal relationships, you build incredibly deep, authentic connections that are based on shared values, rather than just mere convenience. Without a why, everyday life can so easily feel like this exhausting, aimless journey. It's kind of like running on a treadmill, right? You're burning a ton of energy, you're working up a sweat, but you're getting absolutely nowhere. And it leaves you totally burnt out. But when you are driven forward by a clear purpose, you find this incredible, inspired momentum. Even the absolute steepest uphill battles suddenly feel conquerable, simply because you know exactly why you're climbing in the first place. For sure, that is the real-world cost of living without purpose versus truly living with it. So, the ultimate takeaway from all of this is incredibly simple. Start with why. Purpose is your real power. It is the bedrock foundation of every great achievement, and frankly, every deeply fulfilled life. So take the time to clarify your purpose, figure out what that core belief actually is, believe in it deeply, and then let it inspire every single action you take and everyone around you. If this explainer helped you clarify your own purpose, please subscribe, like, and share my channel so we can keep learning and growing together. Spread the word to someone in your life who might just need a little help finding their own spark right now. And as you step out and move forward today, I want to leave you with this one thought. Are you just going to spend the rest of your life doing the